Hi, my name is Kaylin Rose, and today I'm going to be cooking poached chicken breast with tarragon sauce, rice pilaf, and maple glazed carrots instead of the pearl onions because I could not find them. I have all of my ingredients right here for all of the recipes, over here for the maple glazed carrots, here for the chicken, and here for the rice, and then some things are just kind of shared between the recipes. I'm going to start with the rice, and the mise en place needed for this is to dice the onion and heat up the chicken stock. So let's cut up the onion first. Onions make me cry really bad. The recipe calls for 3 ounces of onion, so that's about half of a cup. Now in a pot, we're gonna add the olive oil and the butter, both 1 ounce, so 2 tablespoons and 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of butter and then 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now that that's heated together, we're gonna add the onion, 1 bay leaf, and then we're gonna cook it until it gets a golden color, but not like brown. Sorry about the lighting, but we also have to heat this up to a boil, and I'm gonna pour in the whole thing because it requires about 32 ounces. Here we go, and now we're gonna get that to a boil. Okay, this is what my onions are looking like. They're pretty tender, but they're not brown, so we're gonna add in the rice. Now right here, I have a little bit less than 2.5 cups of washed rice, so I'm gonna put it in the onions. I'm stirring it so all the rice is covered with the hot oil and butter. Now it's all covered, and I'm going to take the boiling chicken broth very, very carefully and pour it in with the rice. Now I'm also going to season it with salt. It smells so good. Now I'm going to cover this and put it in the oven, which is preheated at 350 degrees, and keep it in there until all the liquid is absorbed into the rice, about 18-20 minutes. Now I'm going to work on the carrots. The mise en place needed for this is to peel and cut the carrots. Fun fact, if you eat too many carrots, then your skin starts to turn orange. And carrots are also really good for your eyesight. Now that my 4 pounds of carrots are fully peeled, I'm going to cut them in a rondelle shape. These ends as well. Sorry for any background noise. I just got home for the holidays with a household of 5, so there's always some noise. I put all of my carrot shapes in here. Okay, I just took out the rice. It was in there for about 20 minutes, and all the liquid absorbed perfectly, and it smells very good. I'm gonna transfer the rice into a better pot for serving. I'm also gonna take out the bay leaf as well. I'm just gonna fluff up all this rice. Put it in here. Now I have a buttered pan, and I'm going to put the chicken breast in and season it with salt and pepper. The mise en place for this is to bone and skin the chicken breast, but mine were already boned and skinned. This is how it looks inside the pan. Now I'm going to add the stock, white wine, bay leaf, and thyme. The recipe calls for about 16 ounces of chicken stock, so that's about half of this. 4 ounces of white wine, 1 bay leaf, and 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. I have greased parchment paper right here, and I'm going to put it on top. Well, actually, I'm going to make it a little smaller. Putting it on top of the chicken and then bringing it to a simmer. Now with my remaining butter, I'm making a blonde roux. Now with my cut up carrots, I'm going to parboil them in salt water. The chicken breast is done cooking, so now I'm going to take it out and set it aside for now. Now with the remaining liquid, I'm going to put my blonde roux in the remaining liquid to thicken it up. Now I'm just going to mix it up to thicken it. This is what it looks like. It's way, way more thick. Now I'm going to take half a cup of heavy cream and add it to my mixture. Now I'm gonna let it simmer until it's the right consistency that I want. Now that it's the right consistency, I'm just gonna put it in a bowl for when I serve this. Now that my carrots are parboiled, I'm going to saute them. So I'm gonna start with putting a whole stick of butter in my pan. Now I'm going to put in all of my carrots, and I'm just going to saute them until they're tender. Now that my carrots are nearly tender, I'm going to glaze them. So I'm going to do a half cup of maple syrup, which is 4 ounces. And then along with that, I'm going to add some salt and pepper to taste. It's really hot right now, but they're done. And here are the carrots all done. And a little garnish of parsley to the carrots. Okay, here's my meal all done. It looks delicious. I can't wait to eat it. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about the cooking process now. Okay, I wrote some things down. So first of all, for the carrots, the cooking techniques were peeling the carrots, the knife cuts, so the rondelle shape, the parboiling / refreshing, the sauteing, and then the seasoning / glazing. For the rice, the cooking techniques were the dicing of the onion, the boiling the stock, the sauteing the onions, coating the rice, baking it, and then fluffing it. For the chicken, the cooking techniques are boning and skinning, but I didn't have to do that, and then seasoning, then poaching, and then covering with parchment paper, then making a blonde roux, and then thickening with the blonde roux, simmering, and then straining with a cheesecloth. But I didn't have a cheesecloth, so I just didn't strain it. So the materials needed for the carrots was obviously a cutting board and a knife to cut them up. And then the special equipment, the most special equipment I think was to peel them, so the peeler. And then we needed a pot to boil them. And then I used a strainer to strain them. And then another big pan to saute them and glaze them. For the rice, again, we needed a knife and a cutting board for the onions, and then a pot to boil the chicken stock, and then another pot to saute the onions with the butter and oil, and then to add the rice into it, and then an oven to bake it. And then for the chicken, we just needed a really big pan, and that was pretty much it, and parchment paper. It didn't say on the actual recipe, but I used a thermometer to make sure that the chicken was actually done. And the cheesecloth was also needed, but I didn't have it, so I just skipped that part. And then considerations making this for 100 people. Obviously, there's going to have to be a longer cooking time because the more food there is, it takes longer to heat up. Obviously, you can use bigger pans and pots, but I think that at least cooking for the carrots, that was a pretty big pan, and I don't know if it gets bigger than that. So you would have to make a few of them, and especially for the chicken, it would just take more rounds, so it would take a while, along with the just taking generally longer to heat up and cook. And then obviously the recipe has to be multiplied. So for the chicken breast, it made four. So you would have to multiply it by 50. The rice made a serving of 10, so you would have to multiply it by 10. And then the carrots made a serving of 16, so that would be multiplied by around 6.5. So I would say around 7, so the measurements are easier to work with. And yeah, I think I covered everything. And now let's do a taste test. The chicken is definitely overcooked. Wow, this is so delicious. Okay, well, that is my cooking video. Thank you.